Still got it, no. It doesn't start, oh shoot, it started. Okay. Good evening, everybody. So you have all been given something very special and unique. And if you check inside your pamphlets or under your seat, you can check, you'll see it's not there. What you have is known as a raison d'être, a reason for being, a calling. And that calling can change the world. But it's worthless if you do nothing with it. See, maybe you're like me and spent a long time trying to find it. And you wound up frustrated and empty-handed. Or you see other people living out their calling and you feel kind of defeated because deep down you know that there's more to life than merely existing. And in 2012, that's what I was doing. I was just existing. You see, I thought I had it all figured out. In 1998, I graduated college and went into the Army, served with some of the best paratroopers in the world. In 2003, we had parachuted into Iraq and liberated the city of Kirkuk. In 2005, we had won some of the biggest and fiercest battles in Afghanistan. And in 2007, we were back home here with my family. But something was missing. Something changed. And I thought my passion had died. And I always told myself, I said, if I ever stopped loving doing what I was doing, I wouldn't do it anymore because it wouldn't be fair to me or the people around me. And so in 2009, I left the Army to be with my family and to build a career. And I took a job as a defense contractor, which was also known as a Beltway bandit. It was a good job, high pay, responsibility, autonomy, everything they say you should look for in a job. But I was miserable. But don't worry, the misery ended in 2012 when I was fired or downsized in the worst economy in over 50 years. And I had no idea who I was, no clue what I was supposed to do. I was purposeless, and I was miserable. And so I knew, and maybe you can relate to this, I knew that there was something else that I had to do, that I could do. But I just felt like everything I was doing was meaningless. And it just ate away at my soul. And so I would beat myself up, and then I'd beat myself down, and then I'd get depressed, and I'd get angry. I was angry at God. I was angry at the world. I was angry at people who drive slow in the left lane. I don't know why you guys do that here. Most of all, I was angry with myself because I just knew that there was still something left that I could do, I had to do, and I just couldn't find it. And so that's why I'm here today. That's what I want to share with you is my journey and the process that I use to help people, because now, more than ever before, somebody needs what you have. Let me start with what I know best. Me. I am an INTJ, which, if you are unfamiliar with Myers-Briggs, it means I could be seen as combative and dismissive and sarcastic. But Adam, what are your flaws? I know. I'm going to be curious and persistent and logical. And in logic, there's this idea of proof by contradiction. So simply put, you take an idea, and if you want to try and prove it, you assume that it's false, and if there's a contradiction, boom, there's your indirect proof. Let me give you an example. It's raining outside, and let's say you proposed, if I go outside in the rain without an umbrella, I'll get wet. Simple enough. We say, okay, assume that's false. Assume that if you walk outside in the rain without an umbrella, you won't get wet. We know there's a contradiction, so we have that indirect proof. And that leads us to this idea of the law of non-contradiction, which is Aristotle's law. It's a metaphysical principle in propositional logic that says something cannot be both true and false at the same time. I'm losing some of you. That's okay. I can see in your eyes. You're like, this is absurd. What is he talking about? I can tell you it's not absurd, because mathematically speaking, the definition of absurdity is anything with the probability of 1 times 10 to the 50th. I told you it was one of my flaws, being logical. But if it's absurd, then it's unrealistic, it's unreasonable. It should be discarded. And so I just knew that if we looked and said, based on the law or the of non-contradiction, you can't be both here and not here. You're not Schrodinger's cat, right? And the proposition of contradiction, that you are here by design, right? Things are not an accident, they're ordered. We know that from the laws of physics and gravity and Murphy. We also, thank you, we also know that it's not unreasonable for you to be here. And if I were to tell you that there is a 1 in 400 trillion chance, or 400 trillion chance of you being born, right? That's still 4 times 10 to the 15th. That still doesn't rise to the level of absurdity. Now, in 2011, Dr. Ali Benazir was in an audience at a TED Talk, and he heard that, and he went back and he calculated, the odds of you being born among all the people in the world, given the average number over time. And he said, well, that's not enough. I'm going to also bring in and calculate your parents having met and had children. And then, because that wasn't enough, he went and he looked and went back to your ancestors. What were the odds of them meeting? And he concluded that the odds of you being here are 0. So, I don't know about you, but I have a stack of bills and work on my desk that conclude that I'm actually here. So with all of that, we can say, despite what you've been told by your siblings, you're not an accident. You're here on purpose. There's a reason. But Adam, what's that reason? Are you guys ready for this? You want to write this down? I have no idea. If time ran out right now, this would be the worst TED Talk ever. But what I can tell you is the process that I used and went through, and hopefully it helps you. First, find your passion. What makes your heart sing? Nothing great was ever achieved without passion. People aren't passionate about marketing or business. They're not passionate about being a doctor or an actor. They're passionate about giving voice to the voiceless, about building up their neighborhood. They're passionate about saving lives. They're passionate about making people laugh when they're hurting. I know mine, I discovered mine when I had a mentor take me under his wing. And he poured so much into me that for the first time in my life, I felt special. And then I realized, this is what I want to do. This is my passion, to help people be successful so they can have that experience. And speaking of experience, write down the major events of your life, because that's number 2. Reflect and get perspective. I know this can be hard. We don't want to look those things in the face sometimes, right? They could be mean and scary. I did that. I wrote mine down. 12 years old, mother died. 21 years old, graduated college, joined the Army. 23, woke up alone in the hospital with a broken leg from a parachute malfunction. 25, married my soulmate. 27, alone and scared behind enemy lines in Iraq. 28, first son was born. 29, my first soldier was lost after a 10-hour firefight in Afghanistan. 31, I'm back home. My second son is born. 33, riddled with arthritis in my back right? An angry temper, a coffee addiction, and just not knowing what I want to do. 35, fired. Oof. There they are. Did I lose my passion because of what happened to me? Or was it that I just wasn't able to process what was going on? You know, I thought of something my mentor taught me. He said, there's no such thing as bad weather. There's just weather you don't like because you're unprepared for it. There's farmers and families praying for rain while we sit here and complain. Ooh, perspective. It hurts. Okay. So I need to lean into that and look. And so I did. Which takes me to the third thing. Answer the call. You know, it's funny, we have cell phones now that when they ring, we hope they go right to voicemail. But when I was younger, there was a mad scramble to answer the phone. Why is it we say that? We say, opportunity's calling, then we hesitate. We want to wait for the right moment. Let me share with you something else that I've learned. You don't pick your moment. The moment picks you. You have to be ready. Answer the call, because that will bring such clarity and such perspective to your life, that fire in your belly will grow. I promise you. So I'll leave you with this story. Several years ago, one of my soldiers had called me out of the blue. I don't know how he got my number, but I answered. We talked. He was asking for some help, some advice, work and life, nothing serious. And I said, okay. We talked for about an hour, hung up, and I didn't think anything more of it. Several months pass, and I see on social media that he got promoted and had all these good things happening. So I did what any good friend would do, click like, thumbs up. Then he calls me. He says, I was excited, you know, how you doing, what's going on? Silence. And after that silence, he said, I never thanked you for saving my life. So what are you talking about? I never saved your life. Thinking he's talking about Afghanistan. He said, no. When I called you, you were going to be my last call. But you answered it. And you know what? You put so much in me that I had no other choice. He said, I'll never forget it, and I can never repay you. What do you say to something like that? You know what I said? You can repay me. How? Live the life you were meant to live. Do the thing that you were meant to do and do it well. Be great. We talked for a little while longer. I just found out he's getting remarried. He's got a beautiful daughter. And he's doing what he loves to do, and he's making people happy while doing it. Answer the call. You know, the cost of me answering the call and doing that is insignificant to the cost of not answering it and just continuing to be comfortable in misery. I promise you, I can tell you, you can be comfortable in your misery. Right now, out there are people, there are families, there are communities that desperately need that one thing that you have. But you have to answer the call. Thank you.